What's going on, team? It's Caddy with Money Investing. I hope that you all are having an amazing day. So in this video, we're going to do a technical analysis on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq index, and I'll give you guys an update on the markets. We'll go over some of the patterns. We'll also talk about some of the tech stocks and where they traded, where they closed, and what to look out for remainder of this week. As always, if you guys enjoy this video, please make sure to drop a like, and let's see if we can get over 200 likes on this video, which I know you guys can do very easily. So make sure that you drop a like. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these future market updates and videos related to investing and or technical breakdowns. So what a day in the markets. S&P 500 is almost near all-time highs. It closed at 3380 and it was up close to 1.4%, rallying all the way as high as February and January's highs. So you can see how we have essentially filled this gap very nicely, and we are on our way to all-time highs. And before I jump into the technical analysis, let me know in the comment section down below, are we going to see 3400 this week? I want to know from you guys. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. So let me know down below if we are going to see all-time highs for the S&P 500 and if it's going to hit 3400 this week. So now looking at some of the analysis from previous days, you guys know from my previous market updates that this level right here, the 3330 level where we closed yesterday, so we closed at 3333 yesterday, so this right here was the huge sell-off when S&P was down close to 80 basis points. I had mentioned that this support right here, we want to make sure that this support holds, right? So this green rectangle was our near-term bull camp, and I had essentially addressed the fact that we could see some strong support here, and I would be really interested to see if the S&P holds this level or not. Well, today you guys can see that we just gap up and push up higher. We don't even bother coming down, retesting this support. So we did close much higher from yesterday's open and yesterday's high. So yesterday's high was 3381 and we closed right at that level, right? So 3380. So definitely a lot of bullish momentum and a lot of it being driven by tech. So again, Tesla rallying over 13%. It was up over $180 per share on the day. Closed at 1554, so congrats to everyone who made a killing on Tesla. AMD up again, close to 7.5%. Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft up almost 2.5%, 3 to 5%. Amazon, Zoom Video, eBay, UNH, Intel, J&J, Netflix, all the companies were just in the green. If you scroll down, you can see Google, Procter & Gamble, Facebook, Pfizer, and then Walmart, Chevron, Disney, except for some of the other companies like we've been following like CVS, MasterCard, GE, but they were still relatively decent or flat. So you can see they were only down about 4 basis points. You can see that AT&T was down about 7 basis points, GE down about 15 basis points, MasterCard about 20 basis points. So you can see how they didn't drag on the S&P or the Nasdaq all that much. So before we jump into the 1 hour chart, I want to quickly go over to the 4 hour chart and bring out the RSI and the MACD as well. Just so I can highlight and address something really quickly. So you can see how on August 11th, we were at around 76 levels. So we were relatively overbought. And the last time we were at that level was back on June 8th and June 9th when the S&P's RSI on a 4 hour chart hit as high as 75 to 78. And you can see what happened next. We had this huge sell-off of over 7% when the RSI essentially pulled all the way down to 37 to 38 level. And since then, you can see that we haven't really hit past 70 overbought level until more recently on August 11th, and then as soon as we hit that level, we had this huge sell-off yesterday of over 80 basis points, right? So the RSI pulled back, the S&P pulled back as well. So moving forward, that's something that I would really be cautious about. If the RSI is pushing higher again and is approaching that overbought territory, kind of like over 70, then I would be really, managing my risk accordingly to make sure that if there is another drop or if there is another sell-off in the market, then I'm managing my risk appropriately. Because tech, again, since the S&P 500 is so concentrated in tech and 25% of it is made up by the FANGs, so if those companies or that sector specifically lags, that's obviously going to drag on the S&P and the Nasdaq more heavily as well. So looking at the 1 hour chart again, this right here is where the markets open. You can see August 12th at 9:30 a.m. and we essentially push up all the way to 33.77 in the first hour, and then over the course of the next few hours, you can see that we essentially start trading sideways and then diagonal towards the upside. Another kind of resistance I had mentioned yesterday in my video was the high from yesterday, right? So at 33.81, which is what this line represents, and that's basically where we closed. So we were hitting as high as 33.87, so we went all the way as high as this point, this price level, and at that point towards the end I was just waiting and watching the S&P to cover another 10 points in order for us to hit all-time highs. So if you were to pull back, you'll see that we're almost there. So high for this candle, 3393.52 is the all-time high that the S&P needs to break. And you can see that I have multiple alerts just set up there at 3393 and then a break of over 3400. So again, it's going to be really critical moment, and obviously the S&P is going to make multiple headlines when the day comes, because we've just seen an incredible rally from March lows. The S&P is just, had this crazy bullish momentum going up over 50%, right? So over 53%, covering over 1100 points. So definitely a lot of momentum in this market, mostly being driven by tech. But that being said, the next resistance, if we break over 3400, hit all-time highs, the next resistance I can see at 3500, which is what this diagonal trend line represents. So if you go over to the weekly now and kind of pull back, you will see that we have been trading in between this range, right? So this right here is kind of like the range within which the S&P has been trading, and we bounced off of our lows, which was at 200 moving average, which is the blue line. So if we break over the 3400 level, then the next resistance is going to be at 3500, which is where this higher high falls, right? Which is going to be an upside of another 4% before we see any type of pullback. But again, in the short term, I wouldn't be surprised if you do see another minor rejection at the 3400, or if you pull back, because based on the RSI, based on the MACD, and it's a little bit too overbought. That's something to keep in mind as well. So now we're going to jump over to the Nasdaq index, which is going to be ticker symbol IXIC. And again, going up over 2% on the day, finishing and closing at 11,012 and jumping over 229 points. And this right here is going to be the analysis from yesterday. So this right here was kind of like the double top that we were following for the Nasdaq, which was at 10,800. And then I had mentioned that this previous resistance, since we have broken past that level, can potentially start acting as a new support. Yesterday we did break below that level, so that was a little concerning. But today again, we gap up and then push up higher. So moving forward, the next resistance is going to be right here, which sits at 11,115. So we've hit that level going back as far as August 6th. The high for the day was 11,121, and then we retested that on August 7th as well, when we hit a high of 11,126. So that's going to be kind of like the next near-term resistance, which sits right here for us to closely watch if we see another rejection for the tech. But the next support is going to be sitting right here, which is at this double top at 10,800 level, which we validated very nicely today. So the Nasdaq essentially pushing up higher. So again, this also has a trend channel, which we've been following. It's been trading in between this range, so you can see going back as far as April, I believe. So we bounced off at this level, pushed up, got rejected at this higher high, pulled back down to this higher low. So this ascending low validated this support, pushed up, pulled back, pushed up, pulled back. It's just been trading in between this trend channel until more recently, when it's now starting to go sideways and consolidate, and it's making horizontal highs and horizontal lows as opposed to ascending or descending lows and descending highs, if that makes any sense. You can see that the RSI for Nasdaq was also at a very overbought level going back as far as August 6th, when it hit a high of 81, right? So anything over 70 is considered overbought. So it hit a high of about 80, and then we saw it pull back all the way down to 10,800, which is what this double top is, and that was a drop of over 3%. And then you can see that the Nasdaq essentially pushed up higher. I had also mentioned it's very unlikely for us to kind of see the Nasdaq on the daily chart, the RSI, to break below 50. Which is what this right here represents. Based on previous patterns and based on the RSI itself, you'll notice that every time the RSI does pull back, which means that there is a sell-off in the Nasdaq, it doesn't essentially go below the 50 level. So you can go back as far as June 11th, when the RSI was trading at close to 53, and then moving forward, you can see on June 26th, we had another pullback, but the RSI only dipped as low as 53 again. More recently, you can see July 24th and July 28th, the RSI bounced off of the 51 level, and then again more recently on August 11th, which was yesterday, after this huge sell-off, the RSI dipped all the way down to 55. So that right there is something to take note of. And even before the crash happened, you can see that going back as far as January 30th, January 29th, the RSI pulled back all the way down to 50. So that's definitely something to take note of, and how the RSI doesn't pull back much for the Nasdaq, meaning the tech stocks always figure out a way to bounce back and bounce back stronger than ever. So 11,118, it's going to be really interesting for us to see if you break over that level. Again, let me know in the comment section down below if the S&P is going to hit 3,400 this week, or if you're going to see that in the future. So let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment. I love you guys' feedback. And I want to quickly go over Apple, ticker symbol AAPL. And yesterday I had mentioned that this right here is potentially going to act as some type of support at $436 and $442. And the reason was very simple, because the pattern was essentially consolidating in between this range. So if you were to go over to the 1 hour chart, you guys will kind of notice that this right here was a very strong resistance, which in turn became a support. And this right here was a support, which is again acting as a really strong support and validated yesterday. So today again we are hitting some type of resistance at $454 level. So I would be very cautious if you are someone trading, investing Apple. That right there is a strong resistance where we have previously gone rejected multiple times, going back as far as August 11th, of course, yesterday, and then even further back to August 7th when Apple hit that level and then had a pullback of over 2.5%. And then of course yesterday was kind of like doomsday when the whole market just sold off and Apple went down over 3.7%. So looking at Amazon, ticker symbol AMZN, again validating that support that we had identified yesterday at 3,090, essentially pushing up from those levels. Next resistance, kind of like a short-term resistance that I would personally be watching, is going to be exactly where the pattern is right now at 3172. So you can see how we closed at 3162, and after hours as of the time of this video we are trading lower, down about 26 basis points. And the reason is very simple, because that has previously acted as a strong resistance yesterday, and then going back even further you can see that we got rejected at that level on August 3rd, and then going back even further on kind of like July 22nd to July 21st we got rejected at that level as well. So something to keep in mind, if you do break out of this level, then again 3264 is what I would be watching as next resistance, and then the support is going to continue to sit at 3090. Now looking at Microsoft, ticker symbol MSFT, validating that strong support. Although we didn't come down as low as $201, we did retest 203, and then Microsoft rallying over 3.5%. And so you can see that we closed at $208 and 70 cents is where we're trading right now after hours as of the time of this video, and we closed at $209.19. So the next support is going to be strong at 201, 203, and then of course $206, which has also previously acted as some type of support and resistance, and then pushing up $216 to $217 is going to be the all-time high for Microsoft stock. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop a like. It really helps out with the channel. Happy investing. Congrats on all the profit for everyone who made a killing on Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, whatever the case may be. As always, happy investing, and I will see you guys in the next video.